Hello, my name is Valentine, and I'm curious if I'm now officially a VTuber. Today, we won't be talking smut or whatever nonsense, we'll be talking tabletop RPGs. Tabletop role-playing games are a huge part of my life. I've been playing them since 2012, and have been playing them regularly since. Back in high school, Friday night sessions started at 10 p.m. and went until 7 a.m. or until the Mountain Dew ran out. We didn't have money for anything besides soda and a dice set each, however, and we used the most bastardized possible homebrew. It started as a notepad document with 5 stats and turned into percentage dice for knowledge checks, 60 different subclasses, 35 races, and on and on and on. It was terrible, but it was mainly there to facilitate the excuse of organized gameplay. We didn't care about balance. What we cared about was the dumb excuse to make silly characters and run them for 1 or 2 whole nights before scrapping it and starting a new round of characters. As a result of my forever DM status, the lack of actual plays, and never having read an actual rulebook, I ran a bunch of stupid nonsense that would later become lighthearted horror stories. Wait, don't leave. Look, I know I'm a dirty furry, I know this is a horror story, but I promise this isn't about how I tricked my friends into following Knight/Tight-Ass, the devil fox with antlers, OC don't steal, into the enchanted piss forest. No, this is much more mundane. I've told this story to so many people I brought into the hobby, it's over 24 at this point, to help ease their worries about being a crap DM. You will suck when you start, but if your friends are willing to help you improve, you'll get more comfortable and more confident. Now, instead of typing this up and posting it to r/horror stories so that a crab or dragon can read it off, I don't know why weird animals keep talking about these stories, I figured I'd make whatever copypasta folk work a bit and transcribe the terrible fate of So we're in a mine shaft. We're in a friend's basement, we spent 3 hours making characters, and all you really need to know about the party of 5 is that the winged dragonborn wizard was clumsy as hell and could not roll to save his life. The other 4 classes and races don't matter, all you need to know is that the winged character was new, I was new, and the story is going to be painful. So, we open at a tavern of course, and the party briefly meets each other before an NPC says, "Oi! Go check out the mines. I bet there's good stuff in there." The party agrees about the vague, non-inspired request and goes to the mine shaft. As I literally never did prep until about 5 years after the story, I had literally nothing prepared. So, like all lazy DMs, I loaded up some online resources, I loaded up this exact map maker, toggled some settings, and lo and behold, a mine shaft. Does it have any features? No. Did I describe it in any way? No. I set no atmosphere, described nothing of the smell or sounds or how old it was. I described a rock tunnel with a straightaway and a go wild boys. As you can see, the map is massive, has no rooms, and there's nothing of interest in here. So for literal hours, I would say you walk for X amount of minutes, hit a branch, which way do you go? That was it for so long. I removed all but a few of the rooms, so there was even less than this map, and I was stalling for time by saying the same thing over and over. All my players were also new, and there was no questions of, do I hear anything from this direction? Do I feel any drafts? It was just marching down each dark corridor like a confused ant. Oftentimes, we got sidelined by whatever, just normal conversation. How was school? Did you hear this dumb joke? And at some point during these 10+ minute conversations we'd had across the night, someone would always bring the focus back with the quote, "So, we're in a mine shaft." Then inspiration struck. You know what game I used to play back then? Binding of Isaac. You know what game only one other person from the 5 played? Binding of Isaac. So to spice up the dungeon, I described an odd doorway, one that had a gold rim and a tiny crown on top. The winged wizard whizzed past the weird welcome mat, and what did the wizard witness? Well, the winged wizard witnessed a walk pedestal. A weird one, in which he wouldn't have to wonder the purpose of once he walked over and whisked it all on a whittle item. Alright, I'm done with the W's. The story is a big L after all. He finds a little Isaac. Yes, he finds a small, naked child from a flash game in a mine shaft after 2 hours of left or right. Then, the confused party keeps going, while the wizard is quite happy with the fan service find. So after another hour of left and right and straights, I describe another golden arched room. Congrats, your little Isaac now has brimstone, a very good item from the game he is from. Conversation starts, and after some time, another player chimes in, so we're in a mine shaft. Fast forwarding past the fact that combat hasn't happened, the Binding of Isaac nonsense that literally never led to anything, and the dark hallways, we arrive at my next grand idea. A trap, of course. Now, what do all good mine shafts need? Perhaps some crumbling supports to collapse rocks on the group? A large empty chamber with a thin walkway, dozens of other little walkways full of broken tracks below? Perhaps a den of a terrible spider with invisible webs. No, you see. I, in my total brilliance, decided on something thematic to a temperate mineshaft. An icy slope to a higher level, a massive glass orb filled with goodies and water, and a rope connecting it to a mount right next to the party. The door, the very first one of the dungeon, mind you, slams shut behind the group, and they are trapped. What now? A steepy ice slope, how tricky. Perhaps weapons can be stabbed in the ice to climb it like ice picks. Maybe an agile climber just tries to gun it to the top. Or, how about a fire spell? Now you see, when I was making this devious trap on the spot, I did not consider the Flying Wizard to have a fire spell in the homebrew I constructed from scratch in Excel. So, not wanting my trap defeated, I tell them the whole ramp melts to a puddle. It's not a slope covered in ice, no, it was in fact a ramp made of ice. Why is it down here? How did it get here? Why is there a 20-foot cliff in the middle of a mine shaft? I think maybe you should stop asking questions. So, the vicious ramp now defeated, the party goes, fantastic! Now that orb filled with nonsense won't crush us. Let's cut it down. I describe the orb falling to the ground and shattering, followed by, and I still stand by this as a cool idea, the liquid inside forming back up into a cube and slowly trudging towards the trapped party. One gets engulfed, another swings his axe, spells, arrows, magic galore. Congrats, the slime is dead. I mean, I didn't have a stat block, so I was making it up as I went, but now I've decided it's dead. Or have I? You defeat the slime, brave adventurers, and now? Well, now it's 2 slimes half the size. Defeat those, it happens again, and again, and again. At a certain point, I was describing the sugar cube-sized slimes dying finally as I splattered them with their boots. Time now for loot! Examining the contents, finding a mixture of coin and potions and such, they find an odd ring that has a large ruby-encrusted spider on the top. One player puts it on, and sadly, cannot take it off. The trick was that this ring of spider climb, which allows you to climb like Spider-Man, has a very mundane curse. The curse of, you can't take it off, but literally anyone else can. These specifics would never be discovered. So now, with the wall in front of them, the most physically capable player with the cursed spider climb ring, and nowhere to go but up, the rest of the party attempts to scale the wall. Roll for athletics. Fail. Again? Fail. Perhaps a third time. Fail. Players get distracted, conversation starts, and a third player chimes in. So we're in a mine shaft. Now, I don't recall if I set the target number too high, if the party was not strength characters, or there was some impossibly bad rolls. Could have been all 3 for all I know. Another hour passes of trying to climb this wall, a real-life hour. Eventually, the winged wizard has a fantastic idea. He has just what the group needs to get to the top of this wall. Moving his functional wings aside to get into his backpack, he produces a rope. Excellent. He hands it to the warrior with the spider climb ring, and one by one, he attempts and fails to pull the party up. Well, shoot, the literally capable flying wizard goes. Now what do we do? How do we get up there? Fast forwarding, I took pity on the poor sods. After all, they couldn't even climb a wall I put there, set the target number for, and refused to budge on. You all make it up, I declare. Then it begins again. The limbo of hallway after hallway. Left, right, or center. Left? You walk for 15 minutes and hit a branch. You can go straight or you can turn right. You walk for 25 minutes and hit a branch. You can go straight, left, or right. You walk for... Hey, are you guys listening? We're in a mine shaft. We've been playing for 6 hours, it was nearly 4 a.m., and all that happened was a cube, an icy ramp, and talking about the Binding of Isaac. This was it. This was my big moment. They would never expect this. There was so much build-up, 6 hours of trudgery, and something was about to happen. They were going to lose their minds. You all see large vines growing along the corridor. They wrap around the wooden beams, under and over the now bending rail tracks. The faint smell of flowers mixes with the stale air. What do you do? Like a skydiver on speed, the fighter runs forward and finds the doors the roots grow around, a massive double set, nearly 20 feet tall. Stone, imposing and undecorated, they don't look like they belong in this mine shaft. Where did they come from? Did the miners dig this up? His muscles bulge. The spider climb ring digs into his finger, and with effort, he grinds stone and forces the massive door open. Inside, stone blocks, expertly cut, placed with mathematical grace. Laid together tightly, untouched by time, this chamber is a work of art in its simplicity. Along the walls, a small trough of oil runs, begging to be lit, begging to illuminate whatever treasures may be found in the center of this impossibly dark place. A dark so deep, a dark so unknown that you cannot see the end of your nose. A gentle dripping is heard. From the mineshaft you just left? From in here? Does it matter? Then you all look up and see a pinprick of pulsing pink light floating above the ground, muffled by some thin wall that barely holds it in. One of you lights the oil on fire, and it rushes. Suddenly, quickly, the flume and power of flame ignites the room corner to corner, the dim, constant light just big enough to reach the edges of the vines snaking along the ground. You follow the vines to their source. You can see it now. A massive, pulsing bulb like a flower yet to bloom. The door is shut behind you. Slowly. There's plenty of time to leave. You can turn around now. Is this odd plant worth it? Has it been kept so far in the dark for a reason? What riches could a plant— I charge at it and swing at it with my axe. Battle begins. You cut the thing open. Its insides are filled with a massive jelly that floods across the stone floor like molasses. It's thick and hard to walk through. Another petal shifts from the back of the bulb to the front, and for only a brief second, you see the center of the flower, a shimmering pink orb, now again sheltered by the soft, squishy outside. The party fights and wears down the plant. Tendrils rise from the floor to grab and stab. Fire is flung, arrows launch past, and slowly the group is worn down. Is fighting this plant really so taxing? The wizard looks down at his legs. The goo is now knee-deep. Everyone is moving at quarter speed due to the thick, shoe-sucking, clear muck. His pant legs gone, his skin exposed, he can now see the color washed from them. The goo, sucking the life out of the adventurers. The door, meant to be pulled open from this side, is now impossible to access. How does one move a massive stone door against the weight of the fluids that flood the whole room? The fighter is on his last legs, and again, the ranger looks to start his turn. He knocks an arrow. He takes aim. And the wizard sneezes. Critical miss. You hit the fighter in the back of the head, he falls in the plant goo unconscious, and begins to drown at the same time as the last of his life being sucked out of him. The party falls one by one, and somehow, the wizard, knowing he is doomed, crawls up onto the barely flickering oil trough and stands on it. He is trapped by hostile ground. The room is dark. He is alone. He is doomed. He's going to die on the dark because of a plant. The player looks at me. He looks down at his sheet. And he realizes something. Oh shit, I can fly.